Located in the south of Spain, the quaint little town of Almeria sits on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea and boasts of perfect weather for the most part of the year. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those times. We were greeted by damp conditions that saw the mercury hover around the 10 degrees mark. Bearable, if you're padded up and walking around, but not so much when you're on a motorcycle and there's rain and ice-cold wind lashing at your face. Nonetheless, we are here to test the Desert Sled, a version of the Scrambler that Ducati claims is finally off-road worthy. Cut to a scene in the Tabernas Desert, just on the outskirts of Almeria. This is a Western-themed film set on which the good, the bad and the ugly was shot. And it really does take you back to the American frontier, to a time of rowdy cowboys and tobacco-filled spittoons. No horses around though, just a whole line of Ducati desert sleds. With a lineage that dates back to the 1960s and a name that modified street motorcycles got for their ability to race across treacherous passes in the North American deserts, the Desert Sled has some big shoes to fill. And, at first glance, it certainly seems to look the part. Parlor tricks. By now we're all quite familiar with the Scrambler look. Retro is certainly in. The Desert Sled has roughly the same basic silhouette as the base Scrambler, but there's more, just so much more. For starters, it's a lot taller now, but quite deceptive, as it looks like the smaller street-oriented Scramblers from afar. On the surface, it's got a nice raised front mudguard and a more upright handlebar, but it's beneath the surface where all the real magic has taken place. The chassis has been beefed up to handle the extra torsional forces that come during dirt riding. There's an extra piece of tubing on the lateral edges of the frame that help with chassis stiffness. It also gets new side plates at the swing arm pivot junction that'll help take some engine load off the frame. The new swing arm is reinforced and longer than the one on base Scramblers. While up front the Desert Sled gets updated triple clamps and widened interfork clearance. All this has been done to increase overall stiffness, to ensure that this bike will still be standing, no matter what you throw at it. In fact, this version of the Scrambler has definitely been designed with airborne shenanigans in mind. Ducati has equipped the Desert Sled with a fully adjustable 46mm Kyoba fork at the front, and a rebound/preload adjustable Kyoba shock at the rear, quite a big jump from the base Scrambler that gets 41mm Kyoba forks. Both ends have a whole 200mm of travel, which is more than what some of the larger adventure bikes have. It's also equipped with 19-inch front and 17-inch rear spoked wheels that are shod with dual-purpose Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tires. And boy, are these tires great. Even in damp conditions on the street they provided more than sufficient grip and performed surprisingly well, with none of the squirm that comes from Nobla tires. Obviously, on the dirt, they were just excellent. These tires share a 50/50 on-road, off-road bias. The only thing that has remained relatively unchanged, aside from the body panels, is Ducati's Desmodu 803 cubic centimeters L-twin engine, which was only updated to meet Euro 4 emissions standards. Thankfully, though, the bike hasn't lost any power in that update. The Desert Sled produces 73 HP and 67 nanometers of torque. It also gets a redesigned throttle tube now, which has certainly sorted out the throttle issue on the older models. The weight, however, has gone up to about 207 kilograms, which is roughly 20 kilograms more than the Scrambler Icon. This can also be attributed to the heavier hardware needed to meet up to the new stricter emission norms. Into the borderlands. Get into the saddle and, initially, it is a bit intimidating. Saddle height has gone up to 860 mm, although there is a lower 840 mm seat available as an accessory, still very tall for the average Indian frame. Once you get moving, the new seating posture is just brilliant. It's an extremely natural position. On the street, the bike gives you a really commanding feel thanks to its tall stature. It doesn't just ride well over bumps and undulations, it obliterates them. And that is perfect for holding a decently quick pace over any road in the country. You won't have to stick to just highways with this one. Also, the engine feels smoother than before thanks to the redesigned throttle tube. Throttle inputs are a bit watered down now, and that keeps the bike from doing anything unexpected while in the corners.